let's talk brand, and many here have a tech offering in play, but I wonder how many of you guys are really thinking about your brand. And I'm just curious, how many of you are in pre-launch? Raise your hands. And how many of you have already launched? A few less. And how many of you are really thinking about your brand? Okay, well that's pretty good. So maybe you'll pick up something from the conversation. And what I want to do is, I want to talk a little bit about brand personality. A company's brand personality can be many things. It can be aspirational, it can be cutting edge, it can be populist, reliable, fun. Your brand's got to have some kind of personality. So I want to start with Matt, and I want to know if startups need to wrap a brand personality around their offering, and how do you actually create a brand?
Yeah, actually I think that the brand personality really is something that a lot of people may overlook, you know, kind of right out of the gate, where you're really concentrating on the software and building and the infrastructure, and you're forgetting that you as individuals who are starting this company, you have personalities that people can connect to, and that's really something very powerful, because people like to connect to people. You know, when they can get in a sense for who you are, and you know, personality is, you know, it's the logo, it's the look, it's how you dress, it's how you talk, it's where you're speaking, it's who you have relationships with. And I think, you know, you can take an example lately, which I think was really done well, which was the Seismic launch, which was Louis Clemure. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but they really used technology well to communicate personally who they were. You know, they had videos every day that showed what they were doing inside their company. It was very transparent. You know, they would let you into the inner circle, and you know, they really built a community. They had a community logo design contest so that people could really get engaged. And they talked to people in a way that they wanted to be talked to. So their development people were talking to other developers in that same language. You know, and then the marketing people were talking to the venture side in their same language. So I think it's a really powerful way to connect when you can tell people kind of who your personality is and let that out and let it shine.
And just look at how much of the personality in Apple is Steve Jobs. Let's go to the other side, Microsoft, Bill Gates. Look at any startup that Richard Branson has launched. His personality, his energy is in every single one. So one thing that you really have going for you as a small company and starting up is you can infuse your own personality, and you should. It's believable, it's authentic. This is your baby that you're raising. So why not go ahead and infuse that personality in there? If I may, one thing that's really important, brand is important, because otherwise it's just a Me Too offering. It needs to be a high value product service offering. But you also need to think about brand category. Let's look at social networking. Okay, Facebook is the brand, but the category is social utility. Whereas Ning is the brand, but the category is actually a social networking platform. And you look at, how do you get ahead? You have a lot of pressure on you. You have all this passion, but you have a lot of pressure as well, because you need to get funding, you need to get customers, you need to get press. And so in looking at that, you need to create your own category that you can lead right out of the gate. And if you create that category and create that brand, well, you've done a lot of your work and a lot of your homework there, and you can articulate it better. So along with personality, along with that directing and being consistent with everything you do, so too with the brand category. And that is a huge strategic play, but make sure and have that on the checklist before launch. And if you've already launched, make sure and go back and articulate that well. That will ring well with press as well as customers.
And to build on what she's saying in terms of choosing a category or getting out there in terms of strategy, if you want to really take this back to I don't know, strategy from 2,000 years ago, you take it back to your Sun Tzu book, your Art of War, whatever strategic kind of Bible you prefer to read. Your big weakness there, if your brand does not have a category, say like 2 or 3 years ago, if you were, I don't know, a mobile social network back in 2004, okay, that sort of seems like an Achilles heel. You got to go out there, you got to create that category, take that weakness, turn that around into not something beyond a brand attribute. It's got to be sort of a sparkling attribute.
And I can recall that when we were working with Jaiku, I had a conversation with Jyri, and I said, hey, are we a platform for conversation, or are we a live streaming tool?
Yeah, I don't think it's I wouldn't count out, you know, inventing a category.
Yeah.
If that's what you got to do. Like that kind of happened with Jaiku and Twitter and a bunch of these other startups sort of coming together around the same time on this microblogging category. So wouldn't count that out either. Sometimes it can be a good strategy if there's a way behind it that's going to, you know, make it big.
Yep. Okay, and that's a good segue into messaging and positioning, because you can't really have a category without knowing what your messaging is and your positioning. So let's turn to that.